This episode of I Am the Trend TV is brought to you by Threadbird Printing, high quality screen printing at affordable prices.
What is up, everyone? Adam from IAMTHETREND.com. And tonight, whenever you're watching this video, I have the man, the myth, Biggie from Deli Fresh Threads. Thank you so much for jumping on, man. I've
appreciate it.
I've talked to a few clothing lines since I've been doing these interviews, and every one of them has basically brought up you and your brand. So I was like, we got to make this happen.
No, I appreciate that. It's awesome. It's very exciting. And like I told you before that we started this, I've been watching you for many years since the time to beginning. So I'm like super honored that I get the chance to chat with you and have you check out my stuff and talk about my brand.
Well, that means a lot, and thanks so much for following along. And dude, I'm really excited to see what you've been doing. And this interview is gonna be a little different. So we're gonna do some interview questions, and we're gonna actually do an unboxing. So this is the first time we've done a twofer. So we're gonna look forward to that. So let's just get into it. I mean, for the people that haven't heard of Deli Fresh Threads, give us some backstory. Why'd you start the brand? How long ago?
So I started the brand about 3 years ago. So I've been in business for 3 years, and it's one of those things where I have a full-time job. I have, kid, I live the corporate life. It's one of those things where I told my wife one day, I was like, listen, there's something missing in my life. I'm missing that spark, that excitement that I have.
The creativity outlet kind of deal.
Yeah, I needed that creativity outlet. I studied marketing in college, and I never got to use it because my job is totally like very corporate cubicle life.
Sure.
And I did before, when I was in college, I actually had a clothing brand. I had a college clothing brand. So I went to the University of Central Florida in Orlando.
Okay.
And odd part is we're the second largest school in the entire country. No one knows who the hell we are. So no one makes clothes for us.
Got it.
I was making clothes. I was doing actually licensed apparel. I was doing all the stuff to kind of make it, and I had my own clothing brand, but I was way ahead of the curve, like way above my time, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. The clothing, everything about the clothing. I love still seeing people wear my stuff like 15, 20 years later.
God, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. And so I've always loved sandwiches. I've been
good segue.
Right? I've been obsessed with sandwiches. I'm always like, I make everything into a sandwich. And, everyone always asks you the question, like, what would you do if you won the lotto?
Yeah.
Well, I probably would if I didn't care about money and having to put so much time that the restaurant business would take, I probably would open some form of sandwich shop or be involved with a sandwich shop.
Got it.
And so then I said, well, okay, well, what can, you kind of, at the same time, you're like, well, what the hell do I do with this love that I have?
Sure.
Fast forward a little, I started reading the book from Gary Vaynerchuk called
Gary
Crush It.
V. Oh, yeah. I read that one.
Love Gary V. I read his book, and I absolutely, totally was like, well, if I love sandwiches, I have to become like the SME of sandwiches.
That's hilarious.
So I started researching, posting anything I could. Before I even had a brand, I was just like basically just post stuff.
What do you mean by that? So like content or like ideas
content, Yeah, content. I basically, when I first started, it took me a long time, and as simple as my brand name is, it took me forever because I didn't really want the word fresh because it's kind of sometimes used too much.
Sure.
But in my case, anywhere I went, you go to a deli, fresh deli, Deli Fresh. It's always like that. Heck, I go to my refrigerator now, the bottom drawer says Deli Fresh.
Yep.
So it just kind of made sense. And I couldn't, so I was like, okay, what kind of rhyme? So I kind of went with Deli Fresh Threads. Once I came up with the name, then it was like, okay, what's next? And so I basically started looking up anything I could sandwich related. Sandwich facts, come up with, like how many sandwiches someone eats in the course of, like 1,500 sandwiches are eaten by a high schooler. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are eaten by a high schooler during their high school career.
Wow.
During that whole time,
I still eat that much a year. I love
PB&Js. Like stupid little things, like 50% of ice cream sandwiches are consumed in the Northeast seaboard, like in the Northeast area. So I basically would just research it, use it for social media. Anything I found, like Saibe, I don't know if you know who Saibe is.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, one of my favorite shirts, obviously not Deli Fresh Threads, is Make Me a Sandwich.
I wore that on St. Patrick's Day this year.
I had Make Me a Sandwich, I had a taco. So all those things happened, and then of course, like everyone gets inspired. I met Johnny Cupcakes and started talking to him. Went to like 2 of his lectures. Started talking more and more with him.
Yeah.
And the more I talked to him, the more I was like, okay, I used to do shirts. I love sandwiches, but I also
Mash them
knew
together.
that's exactly what it is. It was like my trifecta. It was like Gary V, Johnny, and basically sandwiches became like the trifecta of what I need. Of like, oh, it just made sense.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let me back up real quick, and I just want to
Yeah,
understand something. So you had the idea for the brand, you came up with a brand name, but you took a little bit of a different approach. I think, if I'm following correctly, is you made a bunch of content
hmm
before the brand launched to kind of
yep,
get some sort of interest around what you were doing.
correct. What I basically wanted, I had a few mind thoughts. I mean, a few thought processes. One was, okay, in all honesty, I'm a Johnny Cut, a JC addict as well. So I knew if I was coming in, I was gonna have to come in as me, not
Yep.
as someone copying the brand. That was
Sure.
the first part. Second part is just like I read the book Crush It. It talked about being a subject matter expert.
Yep.
I wanted to show people that like I was about sandwiches, and that's what my obsession is, and that's what I want to share. So basically, right off the bat, I had before I even had the like when I even before I even had the name, because some people get like hung up on names,
Hmm.
and that was my big thing. I was hung up on it, but I was like, every day I'm going to do something towards my brand is
That's
what my
great.
process was. So I basically had notebooks, my phone, and I did everything from what's my packaging going to look like, what's my blog posts going to be. I basically had different ideas of what blog posts were going to be. I had everything from like what's my website going to be. I had like all these different my shirt designs. What shirt designs am I going to do? And I started sketching and kind of laying everything out before I even had. So like, and then between that and me putting constant content out
Out in the
about
world.
sandwiches, I mean, it was anything from like, hey, I saw this cool lunchbox, or look at this cool picture of Batman that looks like a sandwich. Like I did anything I could find to basically kind of from the Deli Fresh threads social media pages
Sure.
that I can kind of build, because in that way, people then you're building interaction,
Absolutely.
and that's the big thing. I mean, once again, a little Garyism, Gary Vaynerchukism. It's about it's about the jab and the right hook.
Yep.
Like it's not about always buy my stuff. It's about building that, like, hey, let me tell you something. Because then when people see those things, I started noticing that whenever something sandwich related came up, I was the one that they thought of.
That's perfect. I mean,
That's
I think you've nailed it. And I think a lot of brands, kind of put the cart before the horse. The most exciting part, I think, for a lot of first time brand owners is making the shirts, right? Like that's always the end goal. But
correct.
building the community of people and the interest and the trust around a brand first, so that when you launch something, like they're ready for it, like they're actually asking for it, and it seems like that's exactly what you did. How long was the process before, from when you started the brand, started sketching these ideas, packaging, and then till when you actually launched shirts? And how big was the audience that you had? Were you building a newsletter, or was it just a social following?
I didn't, and those are some things that I wish I did more of, like newsletters. I'm still, it's like a learning thing going with that, with the newsletter. But yeah, by the time I got there, I probably was originally my goal. And once again, that's like the hard thing when you rely, I'm a one person sandwich shop. So when you rely on so many people, there's so many elements that you sometimes cannot control. And even though like I wanted to open on National Sandwich Day. That was my goal. My goal was I will open on National Sandwich Day. That'll be my birthday. That'll be my anniversary
Makes
year.
sense. Yep.
It didn't work out. Shirts didn't get done right. Website wasn't ready. It was like all these different things all got shifted. So I went from like November, starting wanting to be in November, to actually having to start January 18th. I actually like it was like Martin Luther King weekend
Okay.
was when I finally had everything ready to go. So it was probably a good maybe nine to 11 months of just between planning, getting everything ready, photos, website, all those things, getting everything ready to go. But by the time I was ready to open, like people knew who I was. Like
That's
I was
great.
already, I had built enough of a following where, because that's always the worst pain, like you don't know the anxiety of okay, I'm about to go live. Who will actually buy?
Sure.
You know,
And a lot
and
of times it's crickets because you haven't built up that community
correct.
ahead of time. So I mean, bravo on the approach. Well done.
Thanks. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like I went like a flat, like it went flash sale. I'm like, oh, I'm sold out of everything. But I got sales and people knew who I was, and the building and the buildup of everything. Of course, it really started picking up once people started getting my packages in the mail. Because then, obviously that's when people start sharing the wealth of like, hey, look what I got, and look how cool this is, and all
Sure.
that.
No, that's great. So let's actually, I think it might be a fun time to actually talk about this
Okay,
package and what you got here, and we can show everyone
sure.
at home. So this is just box, but it looks like you've
Yep,
stamped on the
yep.
Deli Fresh threads.
So
So go ahead and talk about that.
I guess my big thing was this. I love the idea of the branding and the packaging, but I also didn't have money. So you
Yep.
gotta have like I had like champagne taste but a beer budget.
Yep.
So I had a college beer budget, like it was like the cheap beer.
Real thin.
Yeah, so what I did was I found a place that's been open for like 30 years in Orlando that does stamps, and I said I'm going to use this stamp and I'm going to use the hell out of it. And
Sure.
I basically use one stamp, and you'll notice it all throughout my packaging, but it's the consistency. But it also kind of gives that, like, because a lot of times when you go to a sandwich shop, it's not like very professional if you're doing a mom and pop type thing. So
Yep.
what I did was I used it for the box because
And
I figured
then,
the box would be good. And
oh, this
then
is great. I'm already loving this.
I use it for the bag. As you can see, it's wrapped like a sandwich.
This
The
is
deli note,
genius. This is
the
genius,
deli
sir.
note, and that's really kind of the big thing. Like the big thing was I want people to have an experience, and you can say that's a very like it was one of those things where I wanted people to really understand, no matter whether they were seeing me in person or actually going or actually getting something. I wanted them to get it. That's the reason why I put it in a box instead of just throwing it in a sleeve and throwing it and putting it in the mail. Could I save some money? Yes. But I think when you get this, you understand even more my brand when you start seeing things like this.
So, two questions.
Please.
One, do you send all of your shirts in a
Yes.
box? Okay,
Everything
because
goes in a box.
this comes out better, obviously, when it's all
Correct.
smashed up.
I
Okay,
tried in the very beginning actually to use paper bags like supermarket paper bags.
sure.
What I did was I mean, that's a lot of research. I wrapped them in all different types of things, aluminum foil, etiquette, everything, see what it looked like. And I mailed like undershirts, like cheap undershirts to my friends like in Seattle,
Just
in
to test
Boston.
it.
Yeah, just to see. And I said, okay, time to tell me what it looks like. And it was a bloody mess. So, and then at that point I was like, how the hell do I keep this for people getting it? And the only way I could think about it was a box.
Yeah, so
Just
you're
do it.
paying a little bit more upfront, but to you it was worth the juice was worth the squeeze.
Exactly. And I
So
mean, the cool thing is my hats fit in there. Everything can fit. Like I can pretty much put anything in that box. It'll hold enough for
everything
PM
you
to be
need.
able to do enough with it.
So the guest check, you have handwritten this to me.
Yep.
Now, is this something
Everybody
special
gets
for me, or you do this for everybody?
everybody. And I listen. I mean, here's the one advantage that I have, and all small businesses have. We have time.
Hmm.
We can be more niche. We can show that we care and love a little bit more. Some of the larger companies, they can do that, but it's a lot. And granted, will it be hard for me as I grow bigger? Yes. But I now what I started doing was I started pre-writing some of these,
Yep,
try
that
to
makes
do it.
sense.
My goal is not to do. My goal is now that I have the time to do it, those little bits, that little bit of time, people appreciate. Like let's just say, Adam, that you bought a shirt for your friend Sally who loves, I don't know, loves fluffinuttas. Okay. I would make sure to put in my note when people send me their order. I would make sure that it says, "Hey Sally, Adam thought you'd be hungry for a fluffinutta," and then
Yeah,
I be able to do everything.
I don't know what a fluffinutta is, but it sounds amazing.
It's a fluffernutter. A fluffernutter is actually marshmallow fluff and peanut butter,
Oh man,
and it's like supposedly the official sandwich of Massachusetts.
I'm gonna like this isn't super pro right now, but I'm gonna take a picture of this bag before like
Please,
we.
no, by all means,
So bear with me,
no,
but
no, by all means, man.
I just
So,
need to save
so
this
that's
before we
really
rip it.
the thing. Like I kind of like I sometimes would write like I'll sometimes do periscopes while I'm packing orders,
Very
or
cool.
I sometimes will tweet out like, "Hey, I know it may take longer. Some people may think it's not worth it, but to me, it's worth it." I mean, and that's sometimes some of the as much as I think I'm doing well, could be doing better, and there's some elements like like that. Like I now figured out a way of being able to sell outside, like do outside vending. And the reason I'm able to do it is because I pre-package my bags, and you'll see the stuff inside of it. I pre-package all that stuff,
Okay.
so that way it's easier to like me to go, hey, I need a pastrami extra large, and
And
then you
just go for
grab
it.
it. I can just dump it in the bag, fold, and go.
So real quick on this note here, it says, Adam, welcome to the Sandwich Eaters Club. Your membership card's inside.
Yep.
Please let me know when you've received your package sandwich or your pack sandwich. So what I love about this, and I don't even know what the Sandwich Eaters Club is, but I already feel like I'm a part of community, part of
Well,
something bigger than a shirt.
and think about it, and you'll see, and I love to hear like what your thoughts are on some things. And by all means, if there's some things you think that, hey, what about this? I'm open to that as well. That's one thing. I'm definitely always open. But the one thing that I wanted is to make everyone feel, and that where I got the idea was, everyone always talks about like, oh, give me your man card or give me this.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously I live in Orlando, home of the mouse. Back in the day, Disney used to have like, Mickey Mouse club cards. So then I started thinking more and more, and I was like, well, if you really think about it, everyone loves sandwiches. So therefore, everyone is really a member of the Sandwich Eaters Club. You're just not a card-carrying member of it.
Yeah.
So what can I do to make it that way?
I mean, I just love it. I mean, I think like I wasn't expecting to be a part of any club when if I was buying this shirt, but like here I am and I feel special. So let's go a step further here. So let's open up the bag. And again, the other thing that I really like about what you're doing here is the packaging is super creative and custom, but it's a paper bag and a stamp.
It's cheap, man. It's
super cheap. So very, very nicely done. And then looks like we got some goodies in the middle, man. So again, perfect example. This is not a custom printed napkin.
It's custom stamped by me.
It's a stamp though, but you didn't order these printed. Like you just used the stamp. You used what you already had.
Yep.
So again, just like creativity, this napkin's probably less than a cent. And then you got our.
In there, you'll find your Sandwich Eaters Club card.
Okay. Let's take a look at that.
So in there, you'll see a few things. You'll see a chip. A chip is what I call a button.
Okay.
You'll see
a chip.
A chip.
Nice.
I put in there a magnet. So you'll see a magnet that you can put in it's a fridge magnet. So
Got
every
it.
time you go eat a sandwich, you can think of me. There's a sticker of Biggie bread. And the idea of the Biggie bread obviously is one, so you can use them to slap anywhere. But then I also tell folks to use them as a flat Biggie bread to take around their city and take pictures of it around the city.
Very cool.
Now, then my business card, if you look at it, each one is hand numbered. There's only one 1173, and that's you. So cool. I hand number them on purpose, so that way you feel like it's actually only one of you. But then at the same time, what's the back of it? It's my business card. So it's a way for me to want to make you keep my business card as opposed to other ways that you probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, it's very smart, man. Very, very smart. And then is this the sandwich, the membership card?
No, the membership card is the business card.
Oh, okay, okay.
You can actually sign your name on it, so you can actually
send me
a picture
sorry,
of it. It's got a place for you to sign it. And then the other one is just basically a little lunch note. I got those cheap, super cheap. I got them at Target, and I basically bought them out, and I basically just write little notes for a way for you to be able to share, kind of like a lunch note that mom would give you.
Dude, you have left no stone unturned.
I'm trying.
No, it's really good. And the other thing I love about this too is you're already offering a discount code on the next purchase. So it's just really smart. It's just a great way to like feel really cool and something that's different in an experience than just getting a t-shirt. I mean, I think you've really nailed everything up to this point. So looks like you've sent two things.
A few things to kind of go over on these. So if you notice, there's two different versions of shapes. The reason for that is an Italian beef is wrapped like that.
Like an Italian beef.
And then the other sandwich is more wrapped like a regular sandwich would be wrapped. Now, I try to do more square. And then like I have like a Cuban shirt. Mm-hmm. My Cuban is wrapped like a Cuban. So my shirts are wrapped like a sandwich. So this would be wrapped just like your hoagie, like you would a cheesesteak would.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the concept behind it is, so when you get it, you really feel like you're actually getting
A
you know.
sandwich. Like
So then
I'm half expecting that there's going to be a cheesesteak in
yeah, and let me tell you, I have a lot of people that get upset with their family. They're like, "I thought you told me you got me a Cuban," and they're like,
it.
"What the hell is this?"
That's hilarious. So, what is the paper
So the
here?
wrapping is actually I get it at I get it at a restaurant supply store, and
Okay.
it's actually wrapping paper. It's actually like sandwich wrapping paper. I mean, there are things that I would love. Like I would love to rewrap, like get pre-colored wrapping. You know, the nice wrapping. But this works perfectly fine for what it is.
Oh, this is perfect.
So this
Those-
is I have a series of shirts just like the one I'm wearing. It's called Sandwich City.
Yep.
Look at it as I love sports and I love sandwiches. So therefore cities and sandwiches merge. When I think of certain cities have a sandwich. And when I thought of Chicago, the two things I think of the old school Ditka sweater
The Bears.
and I think of Italian beef. You know, and so if you look at it, it's actually it actually looks like a sweater stitching.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you can actually get that
Yeah.
detail on the stream, but yeah, I mean it's really well done, man. I mean, immediately just being from Chicago, I saw the orange stripe and I was like, I know
Exactly.
it's coming here. So,
Exactly.
dude,
So
awesome stuff. And
thank
then
you.
on the back,
And so that's kind of it's a series that I wanted to do. I didn't want to just be that, but I wanted a series like that because I love all
So-
those things.
how many cities did you go with?
So right now, what I have is I have Philadelphia, I have the cheesesteaks, I have the New York, which is pastrami on rye, kind of like a New York Knicks style. I got a Miami Cubans, and I got the Fluffanutta, which is the Boston Red Sox type
That's
theme,
it.
type ones. I basically wanted some cities that were my cities that I liked, but I also wanted sandwiches. Like I have one for L. I actually have a French dip design.
Okay.
However, it's a Lakers design, and Lakers aren't so hot, and there's only so many bad teams I can have to sell. You know?
Sure.
So I kind of held back. Not to mention, like I don't know, since you're in California now. Like, did you know French dips? That's like the sandwich of California. Like that was invented in
I had
in
no, to be
California.
perfectly honest, I had no idea.
And that was one of the other reasons why I didn't do it, because sometimes there's a lot of learning to kind of run to go with it.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
I didn't want to have to relearn, teach people like, hey, by the way, the French dip is this.
well, this one you nailed.
Thank you.
Nailed it, man. And then the printing on it's just super soft, well
Yep.
done. I mean, everything looks
Yeah,
really good.
one-piece thing.
American Apparel.
Yep, American Apparel.
It's
I
one of
like
those things.
it. The reason I like it is because I'm a big boy. I'm a
Uh-huh.
big size guy. I wear 3X. I wanted something that fit me nice and that had lasted a long time. And so that was one of the big things that I wanted. You know.
Well, so far, super impressed, man. Let's get into the second one here.
So this one is based on a classic. I try not to do all parody type shirts, but this is based on a classic because the sandwich is the lunchbox all-star.
Very cool.
So let me tell you a little thing. Quick little thing. So look at the stitching of the stitching around the that. Tell me what it looks like.
Around here?
Yeah, it's supposed to be pickles.
Oh, I see it now. And your attention to detail, sir, is
I'm
very
trying.
impressive. No, I mean, I would stop saying you're trying and you're doing. You're doing it,
Thanks.
man. You're really doing it. I mean, you have literally thought of everything and then some. I mean, to the stitches looking like pickles to stamping a napkin. I mean, you've really done a masterful job of creating a really nice brand experience around your product and telling
Thanks.
a story and have something that people can buy into more than buying t-shirts. Because like, let's face it, the brands that do really well, people aren't just buying shirts because they're shirts and they have a cool design on it. They're buying into this experience, and you've created a great experience, man. I mean, just super well done. I'm really impressed. The other thing that I've noticed that you do, speaking of experience, is you do in-person meetups. So your sandwich eat-ups.
Yep.
Let's just talk about the importance of community, in an offline setting and how that came about and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, I heard about it. I went to an event. I went to like a blog conference event. I realized that a lot of blogging is very important. You need to find ways to kind of continue on staying with customers and people.
Mm-hmm.
So I find different ways that I can interact with them. So like I do things from what's your favorite sandwich? I ask celebrities on Twitter, and I use that as something that I can blog about.
Do you get responses?
Yeah, I actually have quite a few. I have some impressive people that I'm like still to this day shocked by, but I also do it through my personal Twitter,
Okay.
and not my DeliFresh, because sometimes they don't want to respond to my DeliFresh. But I've gotten some fun people like Aziz Ansari, Amy Schumer, Jimmy Fallon, Giada, so
So
I've
real,
gotten some.
let's just like
So
clarify something here.
yeah,
So you're telling me that you just tweet at these celebrities and ask them their favorite sandwich and they respond to you?
yes, you
There's
will.
no secret to this, like
There's no secret. What
other than
happens is
you're
this.
doing it.
What's happening is this. I am asking an odd question. Celebrities don't get asked this question. Like, how
Hmm.
often do you get asked what's your favorite sandwich, Adam? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
never.
you don't. So it's something different. But it's also something different that I can provide that stays within my brand. I can then sometimes spin it and kind of use that to do that. Like, perfect example. I asked John Favreau what his favorite sandwich is. What movie does he have coming out? He's got Jungle Book, but
Yep.
I'm also love almost everything that he does. So it
Chef,
gives me a
man, Chef, good
chance.
movie.
It gives me a chance to basically write about him. It also gives me a chance to promote there. So when social media hits, what happens? I now am linking to them, but I also do it because I like them. And
Sure.
that's the reason why I'm asking. I'm not doing it just for like some
So
people are like, hey, you're doing it for a plug. But I'm really doing it like when I did Aziz Ansari, he had something relevant happening. Like I asked the guy who plays Boba Fett,
yeah.
I found out what his was. I didn't ask him, but I found it on like Reddit. So I basically was able to utilize that to talk about their favorite sandwich. It stays within my realm.
Yeah, very clever.
That's kind of the whole theory with it. And then it's the same thing with my sandwich eat ups,
Okay.
sandwich eat up events. The idea of it is I needed people. You want to obviously find people locally to know you. If people can support you locally, I'm national because I'm sandwiches. I'm worldwide.
Hmm.
But like if you can find people locally to interact with you, you're now building a community within your own within your own surrounding. That's a lot more profitable and a lot more ways easier for you to sell and meet people and do those things. So the big questions I get asked are, what's your favorite sandwich?
Yep.
And where do I go eat a sandwich? So instead of doing all those things, I just said, well, why not make it something an event? And I basically use different places. I use mom and pop shops,
Okay.
and I go and I promote them. So I go to them and I say, hey, listen, I like your food. I want to support you. I want you to support me. So I'm basically pubbing you. You're going to pub me. Together, we're two small businesses. Together,
Yep.
we're going to use our forces to kind of spread knowledge. I'm going to tell you people about you. You're going to tell people about me. And then what the key is, I do it during the core, at least for in my world, I do it on a Monday through, like that the quiet times for us.
Sure. Not like a Friday night.
Correct. Yeah. No, they don't need business on a Friday night or a Saturday, but I do it on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday,
Yep.
and then I do it after work. So I can still do it after work. And then what I've done is I've done 27 of these. And I basically have
Wow.
made it a point where every month I do one of these. I find a place that I like. I then publicize it. Then people come, and I get anything. I tell my man, just like I tell my owners, I can get you anything from 5 to 40 people will show up. I don't know because you know how Facebook is. Everyone tells you they're coming,
Yeah, everyone's coming.
right?
Yep. Yep.
And then no one shows up, and then you're like calling. So I don't take offense if you don't come or you do come, but I just know that the people that come, they like where they're eating at. They're usually return customers, and it builds that community because now they're finding out who I am and what
Yep.
my passion's about.
So are you selling shirts at these events or
I'm not.
okay?
And that's a little and that's kind of one of those where I tell some people think I'm nuts, but I kind of use that as what I call the Gary V jab, where
Yeah.
I'm like I basically want people to realize like I'm just it's true passion what I have. And when
Sure.
you meet me, that all of a sudden then usually leads to word of mouth. Because then they're like, hey, do you know about Biggie and his sandwich eat ups? And then usually and then what I've done is little by little I've made it because sometimes it's very hard to ask for the sale.
Sure.
Like that's something, and my personality is very passive like that because I
Yeah.
want you to just be like, yeah, I want to give you my money.
Yeah.
But
It's
what
hard to ask sometimes.
I started doing like posters. So like when I go to publicize, I have posters made that say at the restaurant has
Okay.
my logo, has my Biggie bread, with my logo, and it says find out more at Deli Fresh Threads. I created little like signs that go on like the tables that talk about like, hey, ask Biggie about his sandwiches, and then I have like different designs
Hmm.
like on there with my website and stuff. So I have ways of doing it. Plus, a lot of people now are starting to wear my stuff to these events.
Which is very cool. No,
And then
I love
also,
it because it's more of just like an organic way about going it instead of saying this is like a gimmick. It's not a gimmick for you. This is a passion.
and I don't want, and I think the big reason why I don't also sell is because two quick reasons. I don't want to be the one sitting at my table making sure no one takes my stuff.
Sure.
But two, I also don't want you to think that I'm like, you know how like some people like give you the free hotel, but then they give you like they give you the whole like the whole spiel about timeshare.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I wanted
Sure.
people to see that I was being, I'm
Genuine.
being for real. And if you want to buy a shirt, great. Some do, some don't, but then some usually tell other people about it.
That's great. So just from like our short talk here, I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like you have everything together. I mean, from your marketing to your brand to the packaging to just your story. You're making content. Did you roll out of the gate like this, or I mean, what does this road look like for you? Have you made some
It's
mistakes? Like, I mean,
it's
geez, it doesn't
dude,
seem like
like
it.
you know what it is. You know, and the hard part is, it's all about the perception. Like everyone always has the perception of making it bigger. Like I would love to tell you that I am slamming it, and a lot of times there's certain months that I do really well,
Hmm.
and then other months are really slow. And those are the months that usually when I have like those weeks when you start looking and you're not getting like as many hits or as many sales, where you almost sometimes question yourself, like, what the
Yeah,
hell am I doing? Should I really be spending all my free time? Because remember, I'm married. I have a full time job. I have a kid.
yeah,
It's like this is what I do for fun. And it's
yeah.
like, and when you're not getting results, but
It's hard to
my
keep
goal
pushing
is,
on.
yeah, exactly. It's tough, and it's a tough process. It's a long road. Like people do not start clothing brands to become rich. Like they just do not. I know a lot of people think of like the big ones like the Ugg Monks, the Benny Gold, and the
Yep.
Hundreds and Johnny. But that's not how it is. I mean, it's a long, arduous road, and I basically told myself that's the goal. The goal is take the long journey, but become like making sure that I get there and I keep building, and that's kind of the element. I basically use little note cards and I
Yep.
write down all my little successes, the little things that you do,
Really
because
cool.
sometimes you need those moments to sit down and actually look at what you've actually accomplished. Because guess what? Half the time, people haven't done crap yet. They're still talking about wanting to do something and they still haven't done it. I at least can say that I've been doing it for 3 years.
No, I mean, I think you hit several nails on the head there. I mean, I love the idea of writing things down on, something physical that you can reflect
Yep.
back upon. It's really easy to kind of get caught up in, just being busy. And then like you said, when you have a slow time, then you kind of get like down, like, what am I doing? And it's something good to reflect back upon. The other thing you talked about is just, your overall goal. So, I mean, what does this look like for you, like long run? If everything goes exactly how you want it, what does that look like?
Long term, I'd like to say that I'm about to have I got a new house. I have a new house and car payments and stuff like that. I'd love to say that I'm going to have this conversation with my wife about how, honey, I'm just going to have to quit my job I've had, my corporate job for like the last 12 years. I just don't know. And there's certain elements about my brand
Hmm.
that I sometimes notice now that I takes me, because of the fact that it's sandwich based and I'm becoming more sandwich matter expert type,
Sure.
or at least being considered that. It's starting to like open up other avenues.
Okay.
So
Such as?
ideally, like my goal is I'm a clothing brand. Like that's what I want to be. I do the different elements because I need all those different elements. They all lead back to me, which all lead back to me and my obsession with sandwiches, which then go back to my clothes.
So you're going to open a sandwich shop.
I don't think I'd open a sandwich shop. I think if
Okay.
I did, I'd have to be a millionaire. Because if not, I would have just opened a sandwich shop. But because of the fact that like I have concepts that I would love to work with sandwich people to actually make like I have sandwich concepts, restaurants.
Okay.
But I think if anything, I would love to I actually would love to either do like a food truck, but it's
Hmm.
all my clothes, where you basically order off the menu and I'm
That's
giving you that.
yeah.
Or even like I know LA's got a lot of the new big thing now in LA. At least I think it is. I know in Seattle and Portland it is the whatchamacallit, the containers, the shipping containers,
Yep. Yep.
like something like that. Like I'm at the point where would I love to be massive and own different stores and stuff like that? Yes, but at the same time I also realistically know that I still have a road to go.
Sure. Yeah. The food truck
So
idea, it makes perfect sense. So that's really cool. Just a mobile sandwich, DeliFresh shop. That's
exactly.
really cool. So, as you've built your brand, I guess what's the most difficult thing that you've encountered, and how have you pushed through?
the I've written about it before and a few times. I actually wrote about it. I think I kind of wrote in my year three, like what am I doing is what I wrote as my title for my blog. And a lot of it's patience. A lot of it is knowing, like that's kind of the hard part. There's always the one that you think you're gonna have. You have a great design. You work with a great designer,
Hmm.
and then you get the design finally made, and then you don't get the results you think you're supposed to get.
Sure.
That's a tough one. Don't not biting. The hard part is never knowing when is it too much to put your chips all in and be like, screw it. I'm just gonna like make all these designs and get it out and see what happens. I've sometimes have been methodical, which in some ways has hindered me, but it's also because of the fact that like I have a real life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The idea of this is not to make my family go bankrupt. My idea is to be able to build to a point where it sustains itself, pays for itself, and continues to build and grow. And that's kind of what I want. Ideally, this is what makes me happy. Like I would love to be able to say, "Hey, Adam, guess what? I'm going to LA and I'm doing a sandwich eat up in Langer's Deli. I'm going to go to Langer's Deli and I'm going to do a sandwich eat up. Have you been there?
I have not.
No, put it on your list. It's in LA.
Will do.
Yeah, but like things like that. Like I would love to be able to go all around the country, do sandwich eat ups, sell my shirts, and go around and do something like that.
Sure.
But
I think you'll get there, man. I mean,
that's the element, the patience part. Like people like hearing validation from people like you and other brands that randomly sometimes will send you, because sometimes that's what happens when you're down in the dumps where you feel like this is just sucks.
Yep.
Like, and then all of a sudden you just randomly get an email or a message like, "Hey, dude, you're doing a great job. Keep it up." Like those are the ones. Those are the ones that give me the air.
It pushes you through.
It pushes you through because you got to. I mean, if you really love this, and like if that's the key. I mean, are you doing this because you just want to pull something out of your ass and make it happen? Then yeah, then your brand's not going to work. Or maybe it will work. And what do I know? Because I'm just passionate about what I have and what it is.
Well,
and I'm just not throwing designs out. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of.
yeah, I mean, you throw enough, shit at the wall, something will stick. However, the people that really are passionate about their brands, I've always found, and it makes sense, is when the times get dark and things get tough, because no matter what, that's going to happen. If you really love what you're doing, you're going to get through to the other side. It's the people that have kind of looked at this as like a get rich quick kind of thing, or this is going to be easy, like they're not going to make it through. So, yeah, anyways, man, just a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I think we could talk probably for hours here, and maybe we'll do a follow-up. But I did want to see, Mr. Biggie Bread pump it in the bag. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we didn't call this out, it'd be a missed opportunity.
Obviously, I'm trying to do something different, things that no one else does. And Biggie Bread is basically I kind of when I came up doodling every time I did it, he basically is a version of me. So he's a version of this is what I would look like if I was a piece of bread. But, so his name is Biggie Bread. I actually got him made from a guy who's a puppeteer, and so my goal is to use him more for videos.
Nice.
He's and basically I'm obviously not a puppeteer where I'm going to be I'm also a big guy. I don't expect to be hiding underneath the table, so I'm probably going to go more Avenue Q style.
Yeah.
But hey Adam, what's going on? I'm so excited to be on this show. It's so cool.
I love it, dude.
And that's kind of what I've kind of created with him. It's really cool just to be able to do stuff with him. And I figure I can use them for periscopes. I could do them for videos because everyone has a complex of being online. It's like no one ever thinks they deserve to could be online or people are going to watch.
Sure.
So I figure this is a great element.
He's really cool looking, man. I mean, it looks like he's high quality. I mean, that's
exactly
amazing.
He's very, very awesome. And I love him. And the cool thing is they made me gloves that look just like these, like 4-finger gloves. So I can actually do first person perspective of making a sandwich.
Nice.
And doing that. So I plan to utilize them more. That's one of my goals because I want to be able to do more videos. Like even if I do short videos, Instagram type videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And even maybe try to do Periscope with them. But I did this because a lot of people I noticed really like Biggie Bread. Like people I get people just talk about him and I think it's cool because this is basically me as Bread. That's really why I created him, and he has a little bit of the Mickey, I guess, or the Disney-esque, with his eyes, with his hands and stuff like that, in his eyes. But
dude, super cool, man.
He's badass. So yeah, I'm super excited. You hopefully should be seeing more videos with him.
So
Yeah, I need more videos. This is like way cool, and stuff like that. And like the hard part is his mouth. He's not your typical puppet, so like his mouth is almost very hard. I'm still trying to get his mouth to kind of,
give him more room.
make him to actually go up and down like a regular puppet.
So let's just say if somebody wants to see Biggie Bread and all your shenanigans, where should people come and find?
You can definitely
DeliFresh?
check us out at DeliFreshThreads.com. And then videos. Usually, I try to post something when I go to, like, if you want to do something different or want to see something different, you can check out. If you see what's your favorite sandwich, I have a really fun one, which is where I ask Disney princesses what their favorite sandwiches are.
Nice.
So you'll see a variety of different princesses tell you what their favorite sandwiches are. You'll
I'm gonna have to
some
watch that with
videos
my
of
little
them as
girl.
well. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm actually working on series my second volume now of that, because every time I go to Disney with my little girl, I use that to my advantage.
That's perfect,
So
man.
allows me to ask, once again, part of my brand, what's your favorite sandwich?
Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. You mentioned everything.
Yep.
DeliFresh Threads.
All of it's DeliFresh Threads. On Twitter, it's a little different. It's actually THRDS.
Okay.
Because of the fact that Twitter didn't, they cut it. So you'll see it if you go to DeliFreshThreads.com. On the right-hand side, you'll see all my social stuff, so you can see. But yeah, definitely.
And we'll link everything up in the video description, so it'll make it easy for everyone to follow you. And I highly recommend everyone to. I mean, just for the inspiration, for what you're doing. I mean, you're really thinking outside the sandwich bun, if you will.
Exactly. I'm bag, right?
That's it, man. So, dude, great work. Keep it up, and make sure if you don't already, make sure to follow DeliFresh Threads and check out the site DeliFreshThreads.com. Thank you so much, Biggie. It's been awesome, man.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Adam, for everything you do. You do quite a bit for our independent online community. You're definitely a wealth of knowledge, and I'm definitely glad to have you back on I Am the Trend.
Well, I appreciate that, man, and I'm only as good as you guys that I interview. So I appreciate it, and man, take care.
Thank you, man. You have a good one.
You too.
All right, buddy. Bye.
This episode of I Am the Trend TV is brought to you by Threadbird Printing, high quality screen printing at affordable prices.